At least they did and the family, they put together a great obit to honor him. America lost another true hero on November the 12th, 2017, when Albert N. McMahon, the eldest son of 7, born to Joseph Arthur McMahon and Georgie Gibbs, died peacefully at home with his family at his side. He was 97 years young. He was born in his parents' home on a farm in Alabama in 1920, a member of the greatest generation. He fought in the early days of World War II with the mighty 8th Air Force out of RAF Thurley, England. He volunteered for a position on a B-17 bomber and flew his 25 missions with the 306 Bomb Group, 369th, the Fighting Biting Squadron, as a tail and ball turret gunner. Albert is predeceased by his beloved wife Delphine and is survived by his adopted son Hugh. He will be interred at the Arlington National Cemetery with his wife. Albert was a retired Air Force veteran, U.S. Civil Service employee, school teacher, and scoutmaster. He published a 650-page McMahon genealogy and provided information for his mother Gibbs' genealogy as well as his own personal history. And by the way, as part of our raffle today, there's copies of his personal history right here. And it is, it's really good. It's great. It's like speaking to Albert. He was a member of the Georgia chapter of the mighty 8th Air Force Historical Society, the 306 Bomb Group Historical Association, and played an integral part in the creation of the mighty 8th Air Force Museum in Pooler, Georgia. He was the truest, red, white, and bluest, 100% God-fearing, American-bred work of art ever created, and he will always be remembered by those who knew and loved him for his never-ending smile and love of the mighty 8th Air Force. His burial at Arlington National Cemeteries with full military honors will be announced at a later date. Good job. Wonderful way to honor Albert. Yeah, please. Okay, I just want to cover some before. This is a business meeting. This is our, not necessarily a business meeting, but this is one of our regular meetings. So I do got to cover some old business and new business as part of what we do here on our monthly meetings. Old business, if you remember back in November last year for Veterans Day, we went to Savannah. All those that went to Savannah for that, went to the parade, hold up your hands. I know the girls, the Vintage Vocals did, Greg, Jennifer, over here, Henry did. It was an absolute wonderful time. We just had a great time. I want to give a special shout out to Greg and Jennifer because they actually provided a float that our Birthplace chapter and some World War II veterans rode on. A big shout out for our Vintage Vocals over here because they rode on our float singing from the front, which has got to be something that is just everyone looks forward to. So thank you ladies for doing that for us. Couldn't put this stuff together without Dennis. Dennis and Shay. Shay's here too, right? There you go. Shay's back there. We couldn't get down there without Shay offering us his van all the time. And I don't think I've forgotten anybody, but if I have, please forgive me. But we appreciate everyone that made that possible. This past, we also, Dick Bailey and I participated in Wreaths Across America. That's something that in December, the same year, I think it's the third Saturday in December every year, the purpose is to put a wreath on every veteran's grave. We were up at the National Cemetery. I think Dick was one of the only World War II veterans there, stole the show. Dick, thank you for being there. The Lieutenant Governor spoke, and so that was pretty cool. Greg and Jennifer did some neat things. They went over to, these guys work air shows all year, and they went to the air show conference in the 1st of December out in Las Vegas, right? And they do that because they work several air shows. So if you're interested in air shows, interested in wanting to help them out, those are the people to see back there. We got a great line of speakers. Next month, we're going to be doing Jonathan Swift. Jonathan Swift is one of our 8th Air Force veterans, and he was a bombardier, and he was one of the pioneers in radar bombing. And I'm going to be getting with Jonathan. I've already talked to him, and I'm going to be getting with him, and I'm going to be putting a story together, and he's going to be the guy we're highlighting for February. And I'll talk a little bit more about, we've already got meetings all the way out until May right now, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, or either Jennifer will send it out to you. That's probably the best way to have it. New business too, we got a brand new CEO down at the museum in Savannah, the 8th Air Force Museum that we just read about, that Albert and Henry were a big part of founding. The guy is so excited. He's excited to really include the chapters, the Historical Society, the museum in Duxford, and have all these working together, and he's going to come be one of our speakers this summer. So you'll be meeting the new CEO of the museum, which is great. I don't think we should ever get together that we don't point out our World War II veterans, because these guys, it's one thing to look at history, it's one thing to study history, but these guys are living history. They're like living, walking, and talking books, and that was one thing so wonderful about being around Albert. So with that, I'm just going to point out our World War II veterans real fast. I'll start over here. We got Henry Huey. Henry, hold your hand up, buddy. There we go. 8th Air Force ball turret gunner. Right beside him, we got Dave Andrews. Dave, hold your hand up. Dave's 9th Air Force. He was an A-20 pilot for 60 missions and 5 missions in an A-26. 9th Air Force medium bomber. Come right over here, Bob Jones. There he is, right there. Bob Jones. Bob was in the 14th Air Force and the 10th Air Force in China. You know, flying, supporting the Chinese and the Americans there. And then we got, where's Dick Bailey? Oh, man, right here. We got Dick right here. Dick is 9th Air Force. He flew 65 missions in the B-26. We treasure our World War II veterans, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming here and sharing your time, sharing your life with us. And if you get an opportunity, stop by, talk to these guys, and hear their story today. So I went to Albert, and I said, Albert, can you give me, actually I went to Lisa, and I said, I need some of his stuff from World War II. And she gave me, and I said, I'll give it right back to you. And she gave me a stack of photos and just some memorabilia. And I said, okay, well, I'm just going to scan these things and put together a little program. And this is something we can show the kids. And it really resonated with the 5th graders. It was amazing to have Albert there wearing his A2, which looked like this right here. Thanks, Josh. Let me show it. Here's Albert with his A2 jacket with Wahoo on the back of it, and he'd get up there, and it would be so neat. He'd get up there wearing his jacket, and we'd show these presentations, and they could see the way he looked in World War II, and the kids really connected with him and asked great questions. It was really a very, it was a fun time for me, because I love these guys, I love their story, and anytime I can share them and share them with other people, I thought it was pretty cool. So I just want to go through this presentation real quick. I won't belabor it a whole lot. It's neat to think that these World War II veterans, these guys went on, that Tom Brokaw said they're the greatest generation, and that's probably for good reason. It's amazing that these guys went on, and they would become successful CEOs, successful family men. They would stay in the military, they would run businesses, but it didn't matter what they did the rest of their lives. It seemed like for those few years that they were in World War II and they served, that's what defined them. And around the 1980s is when they decided to start getting together and hold reunions, and they did. And they got fighter group reunions and bomber group reunions, or infantry or tank battalion reunions, because that defined them, who they were. So hopefully just by showing these pictures of Albert from World War II, you'll, I think you already know it. You guys celebrated Albert in life. I've often said, it's one thing to come here and honor Albert today, but you guys honored Albert in life, and that's where it really counts. When they're here, when they're with us, that's when you love them, let them know you love them, and you guys did that. His family did that, his friends did that, and I think what we do here now is, when someone goes on, the world's a little less of a place without Albert's smile. But what we have to do is just step up and go, hey, I got to fill that void. I got to be like Albert. I got to step up and try to be the kind of guy that he was. And so look at today's memorial service more as a challenge to us to live life like he did, with a smile, with a genuine, loving twinkle in your eye, a passion for what you did in the past. Albert's life wasn't necessarily the easiest life. It's just like all of our lives. There's good times and there's bad times. But boy, that guy never wore his pain on his sleeve. What he wore on his sleeve was nothing but his smile. And it started here with this. Okay, this was his unit, the 306. There it is right there, the 30, and that was, Albert's was your bottom left, the fighting down there. Yep, Dennis is putting it, that was the 306 bomb group. And his squadron was the 369. Next slide. Again, this is just one of those slides about the 306, just to show it again, the various squadrons in it. They flew 342 missions, sorties, 171 aircraft lost. Look at that, 171 aircraft lost out of 342. They were, about half of the missions they flew, they were losing over an airplane every time. You got to remember too, back when Albert flew, there were no, Henry said it best all the time, there were no escorts to take them to targets. They were truly flying, they were trying something, because the Hap Arnold and those guys at that time thought the B-17 was strong enough, fast enough, could fly high enough that it could go to the target and come back and defend itself. And because that mindset had been in their head for so long, they had never developed a fighter to provide escort. By the time they realized that that wasn't going to work and that wasn't a good mindset, it would take them another year to develop the P-51 Mustang. In the meantime, though, while that year was going on and the P-51 Mustang was being developed and put on the table, these guys were having to go fly into Germany deep into missions unescorted. And the losses, of course, were horrendous. All right, next one. The great thing about Albert's group is, or one of the great things about being in the 306 was it had a colonel called Colonel Armstrong. And the guy made such an impact in the 306 that Bernie Lay ended up writing a book called 12 O'Clock High. And they honored him with General Savage. And of course, Gregory Peck played this guy in 12 O'Clock High in the movie. This movie is still played at the Air Force Academy because it's one of the best movies on air war and leadership in combat. And the cool thing about Albert was this is my favorite movie. And my daughter's here, Taylor, and Taylor said, I just about keep it running all the time at home on repeat. She thought it was always on TV as a little kid. And when I met Albert, I go, you really served with General Armstrong or Colonel Armstrong at that time? It just amazed me. Anyways, next, there's Albert's office. You know Albert is, and that is, of course, they were yellow and green tail with the H on them right there. Of course, he was also a ball turret gunner for some time. You guys know the story. Albert didn't have to fly. Albert was over there as a ground mechanic. He had never been trained to be a gunner. The particular aircraft that Albert flew on lost 2 gunners to injuries. At that time, the Germans didn't know how to attack, or they were trying to figure out how to attack the formations. They said, they looked at these formations of B-17s flying, and they were like bristling with guns, and they said, let's try tail, we'll all attack from the tail. And so at this time, they were losing tail gunners like crazy. So this particular airplane had already lost 2 tail gunners. Albert stepped up and said, I'll volunteer to be a tail gunner. They basically showed him how the weapons worked and put him in. So he went in without training. And
Brent,
yes, sir.
one of those tail gunners that was injured, his grandson's here.
Oh, one of the tail gunners who got injured,
The guy that
that Albert replaced, his grandson is here. Who's that?
Steven.
Woohoo! Wow. That gives me goosebumps. I didn't know that. Wow. That's cool. All right, next slide. There he is. You know, the cool thing is, he didn't look much different than that, just a couple months ago. All right, next slide. This is where he was graduating. Now, he was just in an engineering class because he was going to be a mechanic. There you go. Thank you, Dennis, right there for pointing him out. All right, next slide. This was his shoot-down photo. What you would do is you had a little photo like that, you carried on you. If you got shot down and you were lucky enough to get to the underground, you could pull that photo out and they could use that to make fake IDs to then get you back through friendly lines. Look at that hair. Next one, next. I just put this picture in there. That's not Albert. That's just a picture of a guy with his, because sometimes, you look at the tail of a B-17, you don't realize how tiny it is. So I just wanted to show that picture. Next one. All right, this is the way you sat at that time in the rear. This was the early turret. This is where you kind of sit on almost like a bicycle seat. You have your knees on the bottom of the fuselage. What was so cool is when they were doing the city of Savannah, and the tail was one of the last things they had to rebuild. I was down there with Albert at the museum, and they had that whole rear end off, and they had these pictures, and they're putting the thing together. The mechanics are. and Albert and I are walking around there looking at it, and they have some questions about how did this thing really look? Because there were so many different designs for the B-17. And Albert was able to stand there and talk to the mechanics and tell them, no, you don't have this right, this is right, and you need to change that. And I thought, how cool is that? You know, living history right here. And they treasured it to have a guy that had, while they were rebuilding that tail, to have an individual like that there to help them. Next one. There's Albert's crew right there. Look at it. Right there in the middle. Next slide.
Where'd it go? There it is.
Again, another great picture of Albert. They're wearing the fleece lined suits there. There he is back there in the background. You know, you had to become like brothers with these guys. You can just imagine. You know, they're probably closer than family. Next, and you'll see I put a lot of stuff up on the top, but that was for the kids, and I'm not really touching on that so that the kids would understand that in my Sweeties class. That's your typical hut over there. And this is, again, these are pictures from Albert. Next one. There's his airplane. Wahoo, taking World War II. Pretty cool nose art. And of course that's on the back of his jacket. Next one. His airplane was shot up pretty bad. In fact, the first mission Albert went on, the nose got shot off. The whole plexiglass nose. And you'll see a picture of that very soon. And that was his first mission he went with him. Next one. There it is right there. With the nose gone. Can you know, anyone that flies, well, you can imagine, you know, if you took the front windshield out of your car and tried to drive down the interstate or 285, how it would feel. That's basically what it is with that nose shot off right there.
They landed that thing?
They landed that thing. And the worst thing is they flew home in that thing. Can you imagine how cold it was in there? The resistance, the drag on that airplane. I mean, it was like
Bob called for them all to bail out, and none of them would.
Mike's saying the pilot had called for them all to bail out, but they all said, no, we're going to stick with you. Let's take it home. All right, next one. There they are. That's not Albert. That's one of his crew there, but kind of tickling the chin of Wahoo. Next one. This is just, again, the ground crew. This is a picture I pulled from Albert's photos. Henry, Albert, all these guys were the first ones to always give praise to the ground crew. Next one. Again, you know, you get out there, hey, you're going to do a mission, know the target's fogged over, get out your airplane, and you kind of hang out there by your airplane waiting for them to call and go, hey, the weather says the weather over the target's clear, hop back in, get your gear on, and let's go. That's basically what they were doing here. Just young kids, you know, these guys were like 18, 19, 20 years old. Next, again, Albert with his crew. You can point him out there, Dennis, and there you go. Next slide. Again, just him with his crew. You can see Albert right there in the middle. Sometimes these guys didn't all sell, you know, like on the Memphis Belle, and you watch, you see that whole crew went through and they celebrated their 25 missions together. Often that didn't happen early in the war because so many guys were getting injured. Guys would get sick, they couldn't fly a mission. So you could have on a particular mission one guy that would have his 25 missions, and that's what they were celebrating here. It was rare that the whole crew went through together because someone would get a cold, someone would get injured, airplane would go down, they would substitute people. Next slide. And there you go. A little bit of the fun you'd have when you got your 25 missions done. Stripped down there to his boxers with a big 25 painted on his back. And he had celebrated his, he'd already done 25 missions.
That's a squadron, I think.
Is that it? I had not,
I think, I just noticed that.
I had never picked that up either.
Looks
Cause
like 369, it's a 6 right there.
Yeah.
He was peeing, he said no.
you know, I never thought about that. It does look like that, doesn't it? You know, I don't know if you just ruined it for me on that picture. I don't know. All right. And then there's one more slide. All right, and a lot of guys after they got, you know, came home from the war, they decided to get out. Albert decided to stay in. He ended up serving a wonderful career in the United States Air Force. He retired in 1962, and I used to kid Albert all the time. I'm like, Albert, I was born in 62, and you retired. And I said, you've been drawing a check from the United States Air Force since 1962. I said, do you realize? I mean, the Air Force could probably buy 2 more F-22s with just what they paid you since 1962. But what a great man, what a great history. You know, they say what you do creates your legend. But how you do it creates your legacy. How you do it creates your legacy. Albert didn't just leave us legend, he left us legacy because he did it in such a way like a gentleman. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a gentleman. And I think that I'm a better person that Albert shared his life with me. So anyways, that's the end of the presentation there. With that, there's a very special group that's been a part of our group that's came and sang for us so many times, our Vintage Vocals. And that when I sent them an invitation about what we were doing here today, and they said, we're coming and we're singing. And I said, no, we just want you to be there. And they're like, no, we're coming, we're singing, and we might be in uniform. I'm like, look, you don't need to wear your uniform, you don't even need to sing. We just want you to be there because Albert meant so much to you, or you guys meant so much to Albert. And they said, no, we're coming, we're wearing our uniforms and we're singing, we're telling you. You honor us by being here today, just like you're at the World War II Museum, just like you're at Savannah, just like you've been here to sing for their birthdays and for meetings. So I'm going to hand it over to you to present a song for Albert. You guys want this mic?
Yes.
Well, we are really glad to be back here with y'all. And a couple of things. Philippa is recovering from foot surgery, hence the non-regimental, non-code shoes. And we are going to be singing the Farewell Waltz, which the guys always want us to sing. But we forgot our tape recorder and our tracks. So I was the one who laid down those tracks. Everybody think happy thoughts so that I can remember what I did.
Let's
kiss you farewell. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Attaboy, give 'em the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flames from under, off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame or go down in flame. Hey, nothing can stop the army. Nothing can stop the army. Nothing can stop the army. Airborne. Day is done, gone the sun, from the lakes, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest. God is nigh.
Girls, y'all bring an element of class and professionalism to everything you participate in. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Great job. What we're going to do now is we're going to turn it over to some of the family, some of the friends, and let them tell their favorite Albert story. I have to apologize. I didn't, my oldest daughter's here. Taylor, raise your hand. Taylor just flew in this morning from Shreveport. She's getting married this week. And we got to get over to pick up her wedding dress within the next hour. So I'm going to have to bolt out of here. But, the girl's going to have to bolt out of here too. I understand that. But we're going to hand this over, and I'm going to hand this over to the Vice President, Greg Leach over here, and he's going to take over the MC duties. And then we're going to pass a microphone around that we're going to tell your favorite story, Albert's story, and then we're going to finish up with probably Albert's best friend, Henry, over here, okay? Here you go, Greg.
All right, Brent, thanks a lot. We know you got duties to do, so go enjoy your day. Give everybody a nice reception for Brent, our president. And hey, Jill, I haven't been able to say hello to you, so. All right, go enjoy the day. Okay, basically what we're going to do now, which Brent spoke, I'm going to let some of the family members come up and share their favorite story of Albert. And is there anybody that wants to start off particularly? Lisa? Any of the brothers? Let the family go first. Okay, just go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Earl McMahon, Albert's brother. I'm next to the youngest. And, you know, when he was in service during the war, he'd be going on a mission, and my mother knew when he was on a mission. She kept a diary. Albert kept a diary, and when he got home, they compared and they matched. When he was in trouble, she always knew it. And when he was on that mission, my mother would never talk to you. She would never speak or do anything, really. She'd go about her household duties, but she would never speak. but she knew when he was on that mission. And
Thank you, yeah. Nothing like the closeness of a mother and a son. Earl, thank you. Dennis, did you want to share one real quick?
Yeah, this is a short one. It's not very uplifting either, but I'll give you a feel for just exactly what these guys went through. Albert told me this story, I guess maybe 6 years ago. It was about B-24. They were faster, they could fly higher, and they could carry a bigger payload than a B-17. But the very thing that allowed them to do that was their vulnerability. That was called the Davis Wing. The Davis Wing couldn't take much injury. It's brought a lot of them out of the sky. It didn't take the Luftwaffe very long to find out that was the vulnerability, and they took full advantage of it. Albert said, this is a terrible thing to say, Dennis, but when we knew we were going on a mission, B-24s were going to be with us, we felt a little better because we knew the Luftwaffe was going to jump them and hopefully leave us alone. Think about that. These guys come back from a mission. There may be 2, 3 crews that share a distant hut. So you come back from a mission, and there would be 10 empty bunks, no footlockers, no personal memorabilia related to the guys that were there the night before. You wonder how did these guys sleep? And that was very, very tough. That's my story. Anybody else have anything they want to say? I'm losing my voice. It's called a nagging injury if you're away.
Thanks, Dennis.
I'm Clifton McMahon, and I'm the baby of the family, so I got all the good stuff. The story I want to tell is kind of, okay, I'm just going to tell the story. I think I and my brothers hated to see Albert come home and leave sometimes. Let me explain, okay? One time he came home, we lived on a farm, had no indoor plumbing, used a slop jar. Do you know what a slop jar is? Okay, so he came home and he said, Mom, Dad, I'm putting you in the bathroom. Okay, 30 days later, we had a bathroom. Now, let me explain what all we had to do. There wasn't any PCV pipe at that time. It was cast iron, and you had to use a webbing and lead to seal it. So all the plumbing was done with sewage type. You didn't call Walmart, or I'm sorry, Home Depot to bring you a septic tank. You had to dig it yourself, build the frame, and pour the concrete, mix the concrete. There wasn't any backhoe to do the drain lines, okay? But in 30 days, we had built, or he had built, with our help, built a bathroom, and it was all finished except it needed a little bit more gravel to go on top of the field lines. Okay. Now, when I was in school, I didn't have a lot of friends sometimes, and I asked one of them one day, I said, what was wrong with me? Lo, I said, he said, you want to really know? And I said, yeah. He said, you stunk. Okay. Now, the reason I stunk was I had to get up in the morning before going to school and feed 10,000 chickens. And there wasn't no bathroom, no shower to go take a bath, so I had been in feeding the chicken. But back to Albert for a minute though. I enjoy a challenge, okay? And one of the things that I attribute my challenge to is Albert. Because every time he came home, he would bring me something. He brought me an erector set. And it wasn't 3D paperwork with it. You had to figure out what was on the back side of it. Okay? He brought me a little car from England that you could take apart, the MG. You could take apart and put together. He brought me an airplane and a little model airplane. And Earl back there, he probably spent 20 or 30 hours trying to get that thing cranked, not at the same time. He finally got it cranking up to Mr. Wilson's house above us up there. They had a basketball court. So we took it up there, he cranked it, went around one time, bam, right in the floor. But also Albert brought me home, or gave me a plastic engine, and when you turn the crank, pistons go up and down, see all the gears, the light, the spark plugs, the spark. So I attribute a lot of my ability to what Albert brought me. And one thing that I want to say about Albert, most of you already know that, he was a perfectionist. There wasn't no half way of doing anything. You either did it the right way or you didn't do it at all. So when somebody asked me, said, "Are you going to miss Albert?" I said, "Yes, I'm going to miss him. Miss him dearly." But we had him for 97 years. Had him 78 miles. Now I'm going to tell you one more tale, and then I'll get down here. When I was a baby, I slept with Mother and Daddy. When Albert would come in from whatever he was doing at night, he'd come into the bedroom, get me up, pick me up. This is what my mother told me. Pick me up, put me on the mount and play with me. Okay? I have a birthmark right there. All the times that mother bathed me, she did not see that. She told Albert, she said, "Lord Albert, what have you done to this baby?" Okay? And that's my birthmark right there. And Albert didn't do a thing in the world. But that was, you know, I have to admit that I am going to miss him. But as I just said a minute ago, we had him for so many years, and how many of us will live to be 97 years old? It's up to God, not up to us. And let me thank you folks for what all you have done as far as the 9th Air Force goes to support Albert and all, because I know he dearly loved all you guys, and he appreciated everything, and the family appreciates what y'all done for him too. I wish y'all have a very good year this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Clifton. And on a side note to that, it's people like Albert that allow us to do what we love to do. You know, but for people like him, I don't think we'd be in existence. And then, you know, it speaks tremendous volumes of, like Brent spoke earlier, of his legacy. If everybody were like Albert, wow, you know, what a better place. I want to share a real quick thing on this picture right here. I was a collector of A2 jackets for a long time before I got married, when I had money. And I have a good collection at home. And but one of my collections I came across was a full high-altitude flight suit. It was the non-heated version. And I brought the whole thing in, and Albert stood up immediately and recognized it, because he used those early on before they had the electric flight suits. I think Henry can speak to that. And he was so excited to try it on, and he made me put his jacket on and to get a picture right there. So that's what that is. It was a used suit, but it was in mint condition, and I got a deal on it for, I'm not gonna say how much I could pay for it. I could make a lot of money off the whole collection right now, but I was telling Jennifer on the way over here, I wish I had that picture to share it, because I didn't know what I was gonna talk about. And then earlier I saw the slideshow, it went through, and I just said, oh, there it is, okay. But later on that year, when we did the air show at Peachtree DeKalb Airport, without me knowing about it, I think it was John Barry's here idea to get Jennifer all dressed up in the full suit with the goggles on, I mean the complete boots and everything. And Henry took to it like honey. And there is I'm not gonna say it's a risque picture, it just looks risque because the way Henry is hugging Jennifer, it looks like he's groping her. And he's got the biggest smile on the face, and we'll bring out the picture later to show certain people. But it's if we would have thought earlier, I definitely would have put it on, because it's a highlight of the moment. That just speaks to Albert, how much love and, you know, generosity this man showed, and that's why we're all here today. Is there any other people that would like to tell a story in the family, or anybody, any other friends? Because our last speaker for it is going to be Henry, so we just want to make sure everybody gets in before Henry gets in, because we know Henry.
She had on the microphone.
Yeah, please. I had the joy of being able to interview Albert a couple of months ago. And
it was interesting. It was very interesting. He went through a lot of things that, a lot of people don't really interview a war hero about. His life, his building the bathroom, just the different things that he did with his family. One of the things that he said, that he was looking forward to going home with every fiber of his being. The other thing that he said, and I think he repeated it 4 or 5 times, that Henry Huey was his best friend. Henry, when you have a best friend like that, that's something. You must be some wonderful friend. And I think we'd like to hear from you now.
Thanks, Sean. Henry, you want to talk from here? Or? Okay.
This was a hard day for me. Albert and I were very close. I had no secrets from him, he had no secrets from me. If he knew it, I knew it. If I knew it, he knew it. I can't tell you how many trips Albert and I made from here to Savannah, work on the museum, some project. We had favorite landmarks, and we picked a tree that people, youngsters probably, put aluminum foil tape through the tree. The county would take it down, the kids would put it back. And that was our tree, our marker as we were approaching Savannah. I used to tease Albert. He flew 25 missions and survived when the odds were slim and none. He came home and they sent him to Dyersburg, Tennessee, where he was training engineers for future service overseas. And I teased him and I said, Albert, when you had finished your tour and were up in Dyersburg, I was a 17-year-old civilian. And I flew more missions in Europe than you did. I said, but I was smarter than you were, buddy. I waited until they had the P-51 to fly escort. I said, we had escort. I said, yeah, but it was all German. I can't tell you how many times we made that trip alone, just Albert and me. He came to Atlanta in, I think, 91, in December for Christmas, from Alaska. He saw an article in the Atlanta paper, dying and flying at 25,000 feet by Saul Kupferman. He saw the name and he saw the number of the bomb group, 306. He called Saul. And that's how he became introduced to the Georgia Chapter 8th Air Force Historical Society. Sometimes referred hysterical. But this man came on to be president of the chapter. He put the calls out, notifying people that the meeting was coming up on Saturday, our regular monthly meeting. Whew. Man, he loved this organization. And as you've seen in the pictures, he always had a smile. I hope they're going to get a chance to show you, to the best of my knowledge, Albert McMahon and Henry Huey are the only 2 8th Air Force veterans who are members of the Chatham County Youth Commission. You will laugh when you see it because they ask some almost impossible things. I was 86, Albert was 90-something, and they asked that we remain in school, study hard, few. And I said, I hope I got a diploma at 86. So if they have it, can you show it?
I call on Henry Huey from our Chatham County Youth Commission to open and our allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd like now to introduce our three Chatham County Youth Commissioners here. We have one that has been working with our Chatham County Youth Commission. I'll introduce him in a moment. On my left is Desmond Griffith, who's the Youth Commissioner who is representing Bethesda. And of course, we have Takanisha Green, who is the Youth Commissioner for Bible Baptist. And glad to have the two of you here along with Henry Huey, who's a Youth Commissioner who is representing the mighty 8th Air Force. Thank you, Henry. Next item, the proclamation and special presentations. The first one is the recognition of the 68th birthday of the 8th Air Force. Mr. Henry Huey, an honorary Chatham County Youth Commissioner also, and other veterans will be who are in the audience and all, and we'd like Henry to come up to the podium at this particular time, and you can bring the members of, from the 8th Air Force to the podium with you also. Gather around.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the commission, you see before you what's left of the 8th Air Force. We have often thought of what your people have done for the Georgia chapter and for the 8th Air Force of World War II. Because of you people, we have the most fantastic museum, I think, in the country. It's the only one of its kind. I've said it many times, we've never come before this commission and asked for anything and have you say no. We owe you much, and we want this opportunity to thank each and every one of you. I tell you, this is supposed to be the last statewide meeting of the Georgia chapter. Our members are dying. They have physical problems. I've got a new right knee. And the doctor says I can't run over 40 miles an hour because if I do, my old left one can't keep up with the right one. I'll run in circles. Well, once again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And if anyone in this group has anything to say, now's the time.
I would just like to echo
Give your name.
Albert McMahon. I'm the president of the Georgia chapter. I would like to echo those statements that Henry just made because you have been wonderful to us and we certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, he just wants me to show off my special shirt. I get to be an honorary member, and I want you to know that your youth council visited us last night at the hotel, and they are a lovely group. We enjoyed them so much.
Yeah, we're really proud of our youth commissioners. And enough cannot be said about how we really appreciate the 8th Air Force. Some citizens that have just moved into our area don't realize that the 8th Air Force was born in Savannah, Georgia. And of course, we've got that great museum. We realize that, and it tells the story of the 8th Air Force. And of course, some people might not realize that the 8th Air Force lost thousands and thousands of the airmen when they were bombing over in Germany and other areas where the Germans had control of. but because of the 8th Air Force was one of the significant actions in World War II that helped bring Germany down so that we could win the peace again for all of the world. So again, our thanks from the county commissioners to all of the members of the 8th Air Force who are still with us, and we have some others around the country, but anything that we can do to assist you, I know that our commissioners are happy to do that. So thanks again, and may God be with you all.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, the last time Albert and I came before this commission, we said that we needed help one more time. And when the meeting was over, we wanted 2 or 3 of you to help us get back to our car. It was said in jest. Now I'm serious. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just before Mr. Huey and others sit down, I just too want to say congratulations. It has certainly been a wonderful opportunity for me to personally work with you and others. I have really enjoyed it. I really appreciate the time that you have taken to work along with the Chatham County Youth Commission. They are wonderful young people, and they have learned a lot from you. You certainly have raised the bar for them, and our expectations of them are to follow in the path that you have suggested. So again, thank you so very much for all that you have done, not only through the 8th Air Force, but for this community as well. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Hello, good morning, Chairman and Commission. My name is Tilly Isaacson. I am the chairperson of the Chatham County Youth Commission, and I would like to make a quick announcement and a presentation. Last night, the Chatham County Youth Commission was honored and privileged to be able to meet with the Mighty Eighth, and it was a wonderful experience. It was a chance and opportunity for the young people to hear what they had to say and their experiences, and to think that they were only our age and what they were doing and fighting for this country, and as Chairman said, for everyone really, and that was really just a great experience. And so there was one person in particular, though, that we would like to thank this morning, and if Mr. McMahon could please come forward.
Come on, Albert, come on. This is a surprise. Is it supposed to be?
Whereas we are living in the midst of history, and whereas the Chatham County Youth Commission was founded by Dr. Priscilla D. Thomas in 1992, and whereas we are afforded wonderful opportunities to learn, travel, and be a part of our county government, and whereas Mr. McMahon, a World War II veteran, enlisted in the United States Air Force in July 1940 and joined the Mighty 8th Air Force in August 1942, Mr. McMahon was originally a mechanic and volunteered to serve as a tail gunner and flew 25 combat missions. He was discharged honorably on December 20th, 1942. And whereas since his discharge, Mr. McMahon has been very active with the Mighty 8th Air Force Historical Society, serving on the board of directors and president of the Georgia chapter. Whereas Mr. McMahon has been very instrumental in developing a very significant relationship has developed between the Chatham County Youth Commission and the Mighty 8th Air Force, including the opportunity to participate in the 60th and the 65th anniversaries of the Mighty 8th Air Force, and whereas Mr. McMahon strongly supported the Mighty 8th Air Force, donating $7,000 to the Chatham County Youth Commission in 2002, and involving the Youth Commission in all of the Mighty 8th local activities, and whereas, because we appreciate Mr. McMahon and think that he is a living hero, now, therefore, I, Tilly Isaacson, chairperson, on behalf of the 38 diverse, excited, and energetic members of the Chatham County Youth Commission, proudly proclaim Mr. Albert McMahon a Chatham County Youth Commissioner with all the rights, privileges, and responsibility of the Chatham County Youth Commissioner. We encourage Mr. McMahon to stay in school, keep his grades up, observe curfews, and continue to make this community proud. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Chatham County, Georgia to be affixed this 15th day of January 2010. And now, if Ms. Green could please present her. Yes, please.
This is a Chatham County Youth Commissioner graduation card, and we just wanted to present it to him. I don't even have one, so it's pretty special.
Mr. Griffith?
There's a Chatham County Youth Commission shirt, so he can represent the Chatham County Youth Commission properly, and a Youth Commission notebook where he can write down his notes or his memorable moments. Here you are,
All right.
And Ms. Wakely?
Here is a very important Chatham County Youth Commission CD case to keep your most important inspirational CDs in.
This was all totally unexpected. You know, I had no idea. It's a great honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one more thing. Mr. Huey has some of these also. These are very important. These are called hater blockers. As a Chatham County Youth Commissioner, there will be haters, and there will be those telling you that they don't like what you stand for and what you do, but you need to just put those on, block out your haters, and be a proud Chatham County Youth Commissioner.
With these glasses, you don't look quite so significant as you do without them.
All right, thank all of you very much. Okay, next item.
Mr. Chairman, just
yes.
before, we would just like to also thank Mr. Van Johnson for working so hard with these young people as well. He does a lot for the Youth Commission, so we would like to acknowledge that this morning as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to acknowledge Pete Nichols, who's back there making all this live right now, because in addition to everything that you've seen before you, he has recorded the war experiences of these heroes for posterity. And unlike any repository, probably short of those that exist in Washington, D.C., you have made it possible to create a legacy that will live on for generations.
Ladies and gentlemen, I won't go into the details, but the Georgia chapter hosted an anniversary day to the founding of the 8th Air Force, and we were criticized in some quarters and stated that you'd be lucky if you have 100 people. But being a stubborn organization that we are and will continue to be, we went ahead with that reunion, and we didn't have 100 people. We had 500, and we set our registration fees based on the 100. We are a non-profit organization, so we couldn't keep that money that we made, and we made a bunch. And as you heard, Albert signed a check to the Chatham County Youth Commission for $7,000. I beg your pardon. I can't tell you how much moves like this cemented the relationship between Chatham County and the mighty 8th Air Force.